Have you ever thought that perhaps everything you see in the outside world is a reflection of your inner world? Perhaps the universe is not just a giant system we live on, but our consciousness itself. This idea may seem striking at first, but for thousands of years, mystics, philosophers, and more recently scientists have been seriously discussing this possibility. Robert Lanza, one of the leading figures in modern science, has put forward a radical theory on this subject, biocentrism. According to this theory, the foundation of the universe is not matter, but consciousness. Lanza argues that time, space, and even matter itself only gain meaning if there is an observing consciousness. In other words, we are not small beings existing within the universe exists through our awareness. What does this mean? The physical laws we know define reality as an objective and external structure, but when we delve into the quantum level, things change completely. When we examine atoms and subatomic particles, what we see is not concrete matter, but energy waves, probabilities, and most importantly, a reality that changes depending on the observer. In other words, the universe behaves according to how we perceive it. Underlying all these structures is a single field, the quantum field. This field is invisible, immeasurable, yet an energy ocean that encompasses and influences everything. And we are in constant communication with this field. Our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs all vibrate at a certain frequency, and these vibrations affect the energy fields in the universe. That is why our inner world determines our outer reality. This is where resonance comes into play. Resonance is the harmonization of one frequency with another. If you vibrate at a frequency of fear, inadequacy, or worthlessness, consciously or unconsciously, you will begin to attract similar experiences in your life. Because the universe responds not to what you say, but to the frequency at which you vibrate. And this frequency, that is your inner state, shapes the reality that the universe presents to you. As stated in the Hermetic teachings written thousands of years ago, as above so below, everything vibrates. The universe is a mirror. Whatever you show it, it reflects. That's why true transformation is not outside, but inside. We can transform our reality by changing our consciousness. Because the universe is more than an external structure, it is a field that vibrates with consciousness, and we are in constant interaction with this field. What I will share in this video may challenge everything you have been taught up to this point. You will see that reality is far more flexible than you imagined. Time is different from what you thought, and your consciousness is more powerful than you anticipated. This is not just an information transfer, it could be an awakening. If you feel that certain things keep repeating in your life, as if an invisible force is trapping you in the same cycle, this video is for you. Because we will solve the reason together. Take the time to watch it all the way through, because at the end of this journey, I'll show you a powerful method to transform your own energy. And in the comments just write, "I'm ready." This isn't a promise, it's an intention, a beginning. Now it's time to talk not about the surface of reality, but its depth. If you're ready, let's begin. If you vibrate at a high frequency, your surroundings will reflect experiences that match that frequency, and this positive interaction will raise your energy even higher. In other words, life is like an echo chamber that responds to your frequency. Whatever vibrates within you, you will see reflected in the outside world. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs determine this vibration. That's why, if you want reality to change, you must first change your energy. This is not just spiritual rhetoric, it is a perspective supported by the realities revealed by quantum physics. The entire universe is an energy field full of potential, and this field is shaped by the observer's awareness. At the quantum level, what we call matter exists in different possible states until it is observed. In other words, only when consciousness comes into play does the wave state collapse and a specific reality emerge. The double-slit experiment is quite illuminating in this regard. When electrons pass through two slits without being observed, they behave like waves and create an interference pattern. However, when their path is tracked, the wave state disappears, and they behave like particles. Simply being observed alters their physical behavior. The fundamental conclusion here is that the observer is not merely a spectator, but also a creator. This knowledge reveals a deep awareness of the nature of the universe. reality is not a fixed external structure, it is a mental projection. The world we see is a film projected outward from our inner world. As stated in the Kybalion, everything is mind, the universe is mental. The world we perceive is an extension of our mind. With this understanding, we realize that most of our experiences are not beyond our control, but rather directly connected to us. However, even if this connection is not at a conscious level, it is always active at a subconscious level. This is where subconscious programs come into play. The human brain, especially in the first 7 and 8 years of life, operates at a brainwave frequency called theta. This is a state of consciousness where the child cannot distinguish between imagination and reality, and their critical filters are closed. During this stage, the child accepts the beliefs, behavioral patterns, and emotional patterns around them without filtering them. When told, "You are not good enough," this sentence is imprinted on their mind like software. When given the message, "Life is a struggle," this becomes their basic assumption. Mental files are loaded while they are still children. These programs run repeatedly in adulthood without our awareness. A person may wake up in the morning and decide to make changes in their life. They may want a new job, a healthy body, or deeper relationships. However, throughout the day, the limiting programs they have carried since childhood come back into play. A conflict arises between the things they consciously imagine and the beliefs stored in their subconscious. And most of the time, the subconscious wins this conflict. Because while our conscious mind holds a single thought, the subconscious works with codes that have been repeated thousands of times. Consciousness intends, the subconscious is on autopilot. Therefore, simply wanting something is not enough for inner transformation. That desire must go deep into the layers of the mind and replace the old records. At this point, another perspective offered by quantum physics comes into play. The field governs everything. As Albert Einstein said, it is not the particle itself that governs the particle, but the field in which it exists. This shows that the invisible field of information behind material reality determines the behavior of everything. Therefore, if the information in this field can be changed, the behavior of matter can also be changed. Human consciousness is directly connected to this field of information. Our thoughts, feelings, and intentions influence this field. If this connection is made conscious, noticeable changes occur in life. In other words, we realize that life is not something outside of us, but something that comes from within us. However, society, the education system, and environmental conditions have been constructed in such a way as to keep us from this awareness. They teach us to submit to external forces, to remain loyal to authority, and to belittle our individual power. They normalize accepting things without question, living within established patterns, and feeling inadequate. Because a controllable person is one who is unaware of their power. But the truth is this: you are a creative force. You shape your reality at every moment with your own mental frequency. All you have to do is realize it. And once you realize it, you can turn off autopilot and hand over the steering wheel to your conscious mind. The first step is to become an observer. Start observing yourself, your thoughts, your reactions, and your emotions without judgment. Recognize the subconscious codes behind every automatic reaction. Awareness is the first light on the program. As this state of observation becomes a habit, your inner voice grows stronger. Those old reactions give way to conscious choices, and every new choice generates new energy. This energy opens the door to new possibilities in the quantum field, and there, a new reality is born. Without even realizing it, we spend a large part of our lives being controlled by subconscious programs that limit us, even sabotage us. Over 60% of these programs are limiting, hopeless, demeaning, and repetitive. That's why most people struggle with the same issues, experience the same emotions over and over again, and get stuck in the same cycles. And worst of all, they don't know why. However, both quantum physics and epigenetics whisper another truth to us. We are not merely the product of our environment and genetic heritage. On the contrary, We are the creators of our experiences. Everything we see in the external world is a reflection of our level of consciousness, thought patterns, and subconscious belief systems. Therefore, we have the opportunity to transform our external reality by transforming our consciousness. This idea may seem crazy to some. Some may dismiss it as New Age nonsense. However, this is the same as what enlightened individuals who have transcended the mind and detached from the self have been saying for centuries. Reality is an illusion. As the Indians call it, Maya. The visible world is not absolute reality. It is the result of a mental projection. Some areas of modern science are increasingly aligning with this perspective. The findings of quantum physics suggest that the reality we experience may not be fixed but rather a hologram based on probabilities. The simulation theory is increasingly being discussed by scientists. Reality may not be as real as we think. Let us consider the famous question posed by the ancient Chinese philosophers Zhuangzi, or Danji, as he is referred to in the text, 2,000 years ago. I had a dream that I was a butterfly. I woke up. Now I wonder, was I a man who dreamed he was a butterfly, or was I a butterfly who dreamed he was a man? This statement reveals the fragile nature of reality. Every night when we dream, we experience sensations that feel as real as the world we live in. There are people there, events unfold, emotions arise, but all of those worlds originate from within our minds, from consciousness. The reality we see during the day could also be a larger scale mental projection. Just like dreams, the principle that, as above, so below applies here as well. When the level of conscious awareness rises, just as in waking up within a dream, transformation begins in this reality as well. Lucid conscious living is only possible through this awakening. As Einstein said, reality is nothing more than a very persistent illusion. This statement shows that the world experienced by humans on both the physical and mental planes is not as fixed as it appears, but rather a largely subjective construct. So why do most people spend their lives in helplessness, difficulty, and lack of control? Because humans are unaware of their inner strength. From a young age, they are programmed into various patterns by their environment, family, school, and society. Be small, be quiet, conform. Dreams are diminished, intuition is suppressed, and uniqueness gives way to obedience. The system creates individuals who are easy to manage, and this is a mental matrix, an invisible but extremely powerful mental prison. But the good news is we have the power to change these programs. We can reprogram our minds. With conscious awareness, we can dismantle old programs and replace them with new empowering thought patterns. Reality, as we know it, begins to transform accordingly. The first step is to become an observer. Look at yourself from the outside. Observe how you react in different situations. Pay particular attention to recurring negative emotions, because they are signs of an old program running deep inside. For example, if you go on the defensive every time you are criticized, you probably received the message you are inadequate in your childhood. If you have a fear of abandonment in every relationship, you may have been left without love at some point. These reactions should not be suppressed, but understood. And every moment of awareness is an opportunity to write a new program. When an event occurs, if you can pause briefly and observe yourself instead of reacting automatically, that is where freedom begins. Because in that moment, you are present. You are the one choosing, directing, and creating. That small moment of awareness is the first link in the chain that breaks the cycle. In this process, mental tools, visualization, meditation, and intention work are of great importance. The mind learns through constant repetition. The subconscious mind receives codes through visual, emotional, and symbolic language. When you visualize the life you envision every day, these scenarios begin to be loaded into the subconscious mind as new reality codes. The quantum field vibrates with your intention, and slowly the old reality gives way to new possibilities. This is not a miracle that happens overnight, but as you progress step by step, you begin to see small but meaningful changes in your external reality. You realize that you are no longer a victim, but a creator. You are conscious, not automatic. You are awake, not asleep. And this awakening is the deepest freedom. We may not be able to change our reactions immediately. However, by constantly observing them, we can transform our automatic behaviors over time. The first step in this transformation is to become aware of our subconscious programs. The limitations, feelings of inadequacy, worthlessness, and insufficiency that recur in our lives usually stem from our beliefs about whether we are worthy of love. If the thought "I don't deserve good things" is ingrained in our subconscious, no matter how much we want them, we unconsciously prevent these beauties from entering our lives. At this point, what we need to do is identify our limiting beliefs and replace them with new empowering affirmations. We can reprogram our minds, especially in areas related to self-love, deservingness, and abundance consciousness. Listening to affirmations every night before bed is a highly effective method for this. Just before sleep, our brain shifts to the theta frequency, much like it did during childhood. This state of consciousness is a level where the imagination is active and critical filters are closed. It is precisely at this moment that our minds become most receptive to affirmations. With this conscious awareness, the programs we were passively exposed to in the past can be replaced with affirmations written through a conscious choice. Affirmations should always be phrased in the present tense. Not "one day, I will be abundant," but "I am abundant right now." Not "I will learn to be worthy," but "I am worthy of love and all good things." The mind perceives sentences about the future as deferential. However, it accepts the present tense as direct reality. Recording these affirmations and listening to them every night before going to sleep is a powerful tool in the process of restructuring the subconscious. If you wish, you can use relaxing music or binaural sound waves in the background. These sounds synchronize brain frequencies, promote deep relaxation, and facilitate access to the subconscious. The name of this process is actually self-hypnosis. Like acquiring a new habit, playing an instrument, or driving a car, the more you repeat it, the easier it is for the mind to learn. The key word here is consistency. If we want to create external reality, not from within matter but from the level of energy and intention, we need to align ourselves with the quantum field. This alignment can only be achieved by focusing on the present moment. In this state of consciousness, we are no longer just a physical body, we begin to become pure consciousness. Instead of identifying with our senses, our body, and the outside world, we withdraw our energy from this three-dimensional reality and surrender to emptiness. This emptiness is actually filled with everything that is invisible. It is a field of potential, a stage where energy, frequency, and intention come together and await transformation into matter. In this emptiness, the mind becomes silent. The brain ceases to be separate parts and becomes a whole. All neural networks begin to work in sync. This is the moment when the brain works coherently, or harmoniously, across all frequencies. A bridge is formed between the right and left lobes of the brain. Intuition and logic, imagination and analysis merge. This merger creates resonance. The brain is no longer scattered, it is focused. And this focus generates a powerful electrical signal that sends our intention into the quantum field. The clearer the intention, the stronger the signal. At this point, you no longer define yourself as I, your boundaries melt away. Identities, labels, and stories recede. You become pure awareness, and in that moment, you shift from your personal reality to a frequency that affects the collective consciousness. Because you have become that consciousness itself, the entire universe responds to this frequency. It aligns with your intention. The mind is the guide in this process. However, there is another power that is decisive in this entire creation process: the energy of the heart. The heart vibrates with love, the fundamental energy of all existence. If your intention remains only at the mental level, you have direction but no movement. The mind is like a compass, it shows the direction, but what propels you forward is the motor power of the heart. That's why it's not enough to want something. You have to be in love with it. You have to feel joy and gratitude as if you had already experienced it. Because the heart's frequency sends a much stronger magnetic signal to the universe. The magnetic field emitted by the heart has been measured to be 60 times stronger than that emitted by the brain. This field extends up to 3 meters beyond the body. The more harmonious and clear your heart is, the stronger the gravitational field you create. And this field attracts events that will transform your desire into experience. The mind directs, the heart attracts. When these two work together, creation with energy begins, and you no longer have to want. There is no need to search or force. Your frequency brings you everything you need. Because the laws of this universe are clear, like attracts like, you are what you experience, and what you vibrate, you attract. When harmony is established between the conscious mind and the heart, you no longer just think, you begin to feel, and feeling determines the frequency. The electromagnetic field emitted by the heart carries the mental intention into the quantum field. At this very point, your energy resonates with a possibility within the field. In other words, the possibility that is in harmony with your frequency aligns with you at the vibrational level. From that moment on, movement begins in the universe through visible or invisible means. This movement may appear to you as a coincidence from the outside, but in reality, it is a synchronization. You vibrated something, and it responded to you. Meaningful coincidences enter your life. Coincidences, unexpected encounters, inspirations, opportunities. None of these are random. They are the physical manifestation of events that resonate with your inner energy. Sometimes they appear in the smallest details, sometimes at major thresholds that will transform your life. This is a level of awareness where you no longer seek the truth outside yourself but build it from within. And this awareness is like a game, a serious game. Your energy is the software that shapes the structure of the universe. In this game, you are the universe's programmer. So how about consciously experiencing this creation process? Below, you will find a simple but powerful practice you can use to create from the quantum field. This practice aims to align your mind, body and heart, bringing you into harmony with the universal field. Find a quiet and comfortable space for yourself. You can sit or lie down. If possible, the environment should be dimly lit. Close your eyes and turn inward. Now, to strengthen your inner focus, start counting backward from 100 by visualizing numbers at the point between your eyebrows, the third eye area. Visualize each number clearly in your mind. While keeping your eyes closed, gently raise your pupils upward, approximately 20% to help your brain transition into alpha waves. If your attention wanders or you forget the count, it's okay. Just continue from where you are. The goal is to slow down mentally and enter a state of deep relaxation. When you reach 0, your body will be relaxed, your breathing will slow down, and your heart will be beating steadily. Your mind is now vibrating at a more harmonious frequency, and your subconscious is open to interaction. In this state, now visualize the experience you want to live. This could be an event, a special connection with someone, a physical change, or any scene from your life that you are aiming for. But the most important part is this: see it as if it has already happened. Live the moment you are imagining as if it has already happened. Look around you. Are you there? Are you indoors or outdoors? What is the weather like? Who do you see? What are you wearing? Touch a surface. How does it feel when you touch it? Detail the scene as if you were programming a game into your brain. But what's really important isn't just the image, it's the feeling. Feel gratitude in that moment. Be filled with gratitude. Feel joy that your wish has come true. Be filled with the acceptance that you deserve this state of your life, because this feeling is what raises your energy to the frequency of that reality. When you combine visualization with emotion, you don't just imagine, you create a new code in the energy field, and this code begins to work on your behalf. You can do this practice whenever you want, but the most effective times are right before going to sleep or immediately after waking up in the morning. Because at these times your mind is in a natural transition between alpha and theta. The subconscious is much more receptive to suggestions during these intervals. Listening to an audio recording containing affirmations immediately after visualization deepens the process. Even while you sleep, your mind continues to operate at that frequency. Because energy does not stand still, it returns to where it was emitted. In this process you must establish a deep connection with your inner world without disconnecting from the outside world. There is no time there. There is no space. There is no identity. There is only your intention, your feeling, and your energy. And remember, Visuals determine the intention, but what draws that intention into reality is the frequency of emotion. Emotions are the energetic structure of the bridge you build with the quantum field. This is not an application, but a remembrance. You are already the creator. You are simply remembering how to create. The universe is extremely creative and guides you to your destiny with synchronizations, unexpected events, and meaningful coincidences that you encounter at exactly the right time. This journey makes it not only more meaningful, but also more exciting and enriching. Of course, taking physical steps in line with our desires is also important. However, these steps are no longer forced. They will emerge naturally, with inner clarity and harmony. That's all for today. I hope the information I shared has been inspiring and transformative for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying with me until the end. Take care of yourself, and remember, everything is energy, and your energy is your reality. See you on the next timeline.